And one of the things that they wanted to do is actually be able to support each other in advancing their careers. But very quickly, they realized that in order to do that, they needed to bring the younger Latinos right behind them. So we started chapters at the university level as well. And the chapter also started in California, much like the professional group started in 1974. But again, very quickly we realized that we couldn't just start at the university level. We needed to go in the K-12 area, which brings us to what the organization is today. We're over 11,000 members strong. We're very proud of that we're at the high school, at the university, and professional members. The organization is divided into 7 regions up until earlier this month, because we have added region number 8, which is Latin America. We have chapters now in Ecuador. Colombia and Mexico are right behind. Our chapters at the university, which are at community colleges, at Hispanic serving institutions such as like University of Texas at Pan American, at universities like UT Austin, Stanford and MIT, to name a few. But the chapters are comprised of anywhere from 10 members to as many as 500 members at the university level. In addition to the organization membership, we have educational programs that are really catered to K through 20 and our professional members. And I'm going to highlight just a couple of our programs. I'll start with our SHIP Junior, which is our high school chapters. And we're very proud to say that the chapter in Dallas, for example, last year graduated 5 students. All 5 of them are pursuing engineer careers. One of them was the valedictorian. He's actually attending UT Austin. In Chicago this year also, we have 2 chapters in the Chicago area. All 14 students are pursuing science, technology, engineering careers, either at a community college or at a university. And again, we have a valedictorian. You'll find out that our students are not only graduating with honors. In Chicago, for example, the 14 that graduated, 10 of them are members of the Honor Society, but they also are bringing with them the valedictorian and salutatorian with them as well. So we're very proud of our chapters. In addition to that, our university programs, for example, we have a NASA Marshall Space Flight Center internship, and research shows that if our undergraduates do research, they're more likely to pursue graduate school. Well, now the society can actually say that we have validated that, and it also works for our Latino students. Out of 8 interns that we had last summer, 6 of them are in graduate school. 1 was undecided, and hopefully this summer will make the decision to continue graduate school. And 1 hasn't responded. Like everything, we always have 1 that doesn't respond, but we're going to follow up with him. And hopefully he will also be pursuing graduate education. So we're really proud that our programs are working at the educational level. But in addition to that, we have programs for our professionals as well, as the organization started in their area from the beginning. And our Executive Leadership Institute program, who has been in exception for 3 years, actually has produced 2 executives already, 1 in American Airlines. And so we're seeing that not only our educational programs, but our development for our professional members are also being very successful. And the additional thing that I want to say, the final thing, is that I would like to invite you, because our organization has these programs throughout the year, but it actually also has a conference, a national conference that we move from year to year. We're very proud that this year we're going to be here in Washington, D.C., October 28th through November 1st, so you all are invited. And you'll be able to see firsthand our educational programs all the way from the middle through the professional level. It will include high school, middle school teachers, as well as students, faculty, deans of universities will be in attendance, and obviously our professional members. So you'll get a chance to experience our outreach activities, but you'll actually be able to be among over 6,000 Latino leaders in the STEM field, which I think it's one of the largest conferences in the United States that brings such a talent together at one time. And for the first time, the organization, Congressman Hinojosa mentioned earlier that we're working closely with him and other representatives on pursuing and ensuring that Latinos have the same access to the science, technology, engineering, and math. The organization, for the first time, is honoring our congressional representatives, and it's obviously an honor as a fellow Texan that one of the first leaders that we're going to be honoring in the entire history of the organization is Congressman Hinojosa. So congratulations, sir. And just to share that we do work from the very early on, I wanted to share with you this little comic book that you'll see where we really try to get students to get interested in science, technology, engineering, in education at a very early age. And then we have some publications that are Ay mijo and Ay mija, why do you want to be an engineer? So thank you all for having me.
Thank you, Rafaela. This is the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. I love the sounds of that. Who better to introduce our honored guest for keynote remarks today than Tony Sanchez, the founder of Sanchez Oil and Gas of Houston and Laredo, Texas, director of the nation's leading Hispanic-owned bank, and a member of the University of Texas Board of Regents. Now, the political junkies in the room will recall that Tony Sanchez was the Democratic Party nominee for governor of Texas in 2002. But my guess is that Tony Sanchez is far more proud of his campaign for improving public education and higher education for all students in America. Please welcome Tony Sanchez for the introduction of our keynote speaker.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to thank Mickey for this wonderful lunch. I see a very good friend of mine for many years. We worked together in the Mondale campaign when I was 30 and he was 15. Ambassador, it's good to see you. Congressman Hinojosa, it's good to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to be here today to recognize and honor a man whose achievements have earned him the pride of his hometown of Laredo and of all of Texas. And I would assume, of course, over the next few years, the pride of all of the United States. Dr. Francisco Cigarroa is a third-generation member of a pioneer medical family of South Texas and the border region. He earned his undergraduate degree from Yale University and received his medical degree from the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center at Dallas. During his 12 years of postgraduate training, Dr. Cigarroa was chief resident at Harvard's teaching hospital, the Massachusetts General in Boston. And he completed a fellowship at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. This superb education laid the foundation for things to come. In 1995, Dr. Cigarroa passed up prestigious opportunities in the Northeast and returned to Texas to join the Department of Surgery at the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. His impact on the San Antonio medical community was immediate. His reputation as a caring, skilled surgeon spread rapidly throughout the state. In 1997, he was on the surgical team that split a donor liver for transplant into 2 recipients. In 2000, he headed the team that performed the first successful pediatric small bowel transplant in South Texas. The beginning of the 21st century would find Francisco poised to soar in a new trajectory. In 2000, I was privileged to be serving on the University of Texas Board of Regents when Dr. Cigarroa emerged as a finalist for the position of president of the University of Texas Health Science Center in San Antonio. Even though he had no administrative experience, my colleagues and I were impressed by his demeanor, confidence, and his expertise. These traits that we recognize soon epitomized his leadership style as president. With great respect, quote unquote, the complimentary closing that Dr. Cigarroa uses in his personal correspondence came to life in his interpersonal communications with faculty, staff, and students of the 5 schools of the Health Center. This respectful style was complemented by a warm civility that is seldom experienced in today's fast-paced world. However, respect for the individual comes easily to this surgeon who is well schooled in the marvels of the human body. At the beginning of his career, Francisco internalized and made operational this charge from the Hippocratic Oath. The physician is a servant of the art. When a physician views each life as unique and becomes a servant to the art, it follows that great respect is part of each human contact. The patient, the worried family, the colleague, the student, the gardeners, the laborers, the well-known and the little-known are all treated equal and with great respect. Under his executive leadership, the Health Science Center prospered through challenging economic times. The research enterprise grew from 84 million to 210 million. Patient revenues increased 82 million to 170 million. The endowments went from 293 million to way over 400 million. And the overall budget rose from 300 million to 700 million. 12 buildings and numerous major renovations were completed during his term, amounting to approximately $500 million in facility improvements. How well did this surgeon perform his administrative duties, you might ask? On February the 9th of this year, 2009, after a nationwide search, Dr. Cigarroa was selected to become the 10th Chancellor of the University of Texas System. He did not seek this honor. It settled upon him quietly as he worked for others doing his job well. As the first Hispanic to serve as Chancellor, Dr. Cigarroa oversees one of the largest public systems of higher education in the nation, with 9 universities, 6 health institutions, and an annual operating budget of almost $12 billion. It has 194,000 students and growing, with 84,000 employees. Dr. Cigarroa also serves as Vice Chairman of Policy on the Board of Directors of the University of Texas Investment Management Company. Before I want to introduce Dr. Cigarroa, I want to say something personal, because I have observed him from close and afar. And like perhaps many of you, I sometimes subconsciously categorize people. And one of the categories that I view in life is when I see people climb up the ladder of success and they reach the top. Some, a few, unfortunately, look back and they reach down and they pick up that ladder and then they move along the top, thinking that it was all their due. The other is people who, through the help of a lot of other people, get to the top And while they're there, they reach back and they put their hands on that ladder and they sturdy it. They make it stronger. Then they reach down and they start helping people up that ladder to success. And they never stop. They continue to encourage young people to try to reach their dreams. And they never, ever forget from whence they came. It is now my honor to introduce, with great respect, the Chancellor of the University of Texas System, my friend, Dr. Francisco G. Cigarroa.
Tony, thank you very much for that beautiful introduction. In many ways, I owe so much to Tony Sanchez. He's an individual who also was born and raised in Laredo. When I came to San Antonio as a young faculty member, encouraged me to put my hat in the ring in regards to the presidency of the Health Science Center. Then served on the Board of Regents, who ultimately selected me as the president of the Health Science Center. And he had the vision of expanding the Health Science Center's presence in Laredo, in Edinburgh, and in Harlingen, where we were able and continue to enhance the platform for really medical education in the Lower Rio Grande Valley and dental education in Texas, where so many, many students would never have had the opportunity to pursue what I believe is one of the most beautiful professions, which is medicine. And so, Tony, I owe so much to you, and I will continue to do everything within the power that God gives me to continue to excel and really position the University of Texas system to even a higher platform of excellence. So let's give Tony a big applause. And also, I do want to give an applause to all the students who are here representing their high schools or are here doing internships during college, because you are our future. And again, everything we do, as educators is really focused on making sure that the next generation of American citizens and citizens from around the world have a better quality of life. I mean, it really is what we want for each one of our children. To Mickey, thank you very much to you and your board, to the sponsors for asking me to be your keynote speaker today. Let me begin by expressing to you that my first few months as Chancellor of the University of Texas System, have really been a great joy. To have the opportunity to really visit the 9 academic universities and the 6 health institutions under the University of Texas System, ranging from all geographic regions of Texas, really results in what I believe unlimited possibilities for this nation and for the world. As Mr. Sanchez has stated, we are responsible for the education of over 193,000 students. And remember, education is also very individual. A parent leaving their most precious asset to a university, for us to be able to provide with them tools to become lifelong learners and really be the leaders, of this nation into tomorrow. Well, as Tony stated, I had no idea that when I came back from Johns Hopkins finishing my fellowship, that I would expect to be in this current role as Chancellor of what I believe one of the great institutions of higher education in the world. I left Laredo, Texas, and I embarked upon a higher education degree at Yale. And I will tell you that the most difficult transition in my life was that transition from Laredo to Yale. That first year, every time I received a grade, I thought that tomorrow would be my last day at Yale. But, my parents, individuals who loved me, my grandparents, said, don't give up. Continue your focus. And if you love medicine, you still have an opportunity to do that. Well, anyhow, Yale gave me a tremendous work ethic because I really had to catch up. I never let up in my work ethics of trying to do better. And by the time I got to medical school, it ended up being kind of a relatively easy road. Although after the third time of taking biochemistry, I decided maybe economics was for me. I remember in the library at Southwestern, I closed my book and I said, I quit. I'm going back to Laredo, and I'm going to talk to Dad. So I arrived in Laredo. It must have been about 10:30 at night. Dad had about 100 patients in his clinic, and it was probably about 11 o'clock at night before he got out of the clinic. And so I stepped down from the hill, which is where the hospital was, and Dad was there, and it was dark, and he said, Carlos, what are you doing here? I go, no, Dad, it's Francisco, because there was 10 of us, and it was kind of dark. He said, oh, my goodness. Francisco, I thought you were in medical school. Well, Dad, I need to talk to you about this. So we had about a 45-minute conversation, and Dad is somebody who always wants the best for his children. He goes, well, son, I completely understand, and, let's go talk to Mother. So it was midnight by the time I got to the house in Laredo, and Mother was asleep, and so we go to the master bedroom where Mom was, and Dad goes, look who's here. And so Mother asked the question, well, what are you doing here? I thought you were taking a biochemistry exam in about 4 days, because we'd always ask her to say a prayer, before every exam. That started at Yale because I thought I'd flunk every test. Well, I told her what my new plans were, and she goes, nothing of it. And she scolded both Dad and myself, Dad for agreeing, and that following morning, we took the 6 a.m. Texas International flight out of Laredo back to Dallas. She made Dad stay in class with me for 3 or 4 days, and we both agreed that the wrath of Mother was not worth it. We did not want to experience that again, that medical school would be a lot easier. Well, anyhow, Southwestern Medical School ended up actually being a glorious time. And there I was exposed to what I believe some of the greatest faculty that I've had the opportunity to work with. And it was Michael Brown who eventually got a Nobel laureate. But it's the power of how a faculty member can influence a young student. He asked me, what are your plans? I go, well, my plans are to go back to Laredo and really join my father's practice. He goes, well, have you ever thought about pursuing a career in academic medicine? He was already thinking about, how important it is to identify a young, bright, talented student to become the future pipeline of faculty members in academic health centers. And so really, Michael Brown was the one who encouraged me to pursue a career in academic surgery. He wrote my letter of recommendation to Mass General. When I got accepted to Mass General, I ran back to Michael Brown and told him how ecstatic I was, and his remarks were, don't disappoint me. And so I often will go back to him and ask him,